Dearest friend, as I write this, I do so with a deep sorrow in my heart. Yet I feel compelled to say these words because I believe you need to hear them. As you move through life, there are certain truths that reveal themselves to you. No matter how much you resist them, argue against them, or try to escape them, they remain true. And yes, some of those truths hurt. Today, I wish to speak about one of them. I have come to believe that there are parts of us that run deeper than preference, deeper than desire, deeper even than ambition. There are things about us that seem woven into the very fabric of who we are. The person you are is not an accident. There is something fundamental about your nature, something that remains despite all your attempts to become someone else. And life has a strange way of reminding us of that. Again and again, it pushes us back toward ourselves. It punishes us for pretending to be what we are not. It confronts us whenever we try to abandon our nature entirely. I do not know how to explain this perfectly, but I will try. It is as though the universe assigns each of us a position long before we understand ourselves, before we know our strengths, our weaknesses, our responsibilities, or our place in the world. Something has already been set into motion. We arrive carrying a certain disposition, a certain temperament, a certain way of being. The difficult part is that none of us chose it. We were never asked what burdens we wanted to carry. We were never consulted about our personalities, our limitations, our talents, or our responsibilities. We simply arrived here and found ourselves cast into a particular role, left to make sense of a life we did not design. Nature offers a useful example. Every creature has a role to play. A lion hunts a zebra. A leopard chases an antelope. Neither chose those roles, nor were they consulted before receiving them. They simply live according to the nature they were given. We call this the food chain, but it is more than that. It is a reminder that every creature exists within a particular reality. A zebra does not wake up one morning and decide to become a lion. An antelope cannot choose to become a leopard. If they were somehow able to abandon their nature completely, the consequences would be disastrous. The balance that governs their existence depends upon each creature remaining true to what it is. And so, the zebra runs, the lion hunts, the leopard chases. I know this truth is difficult to hear because it carries with it a profound sense of powerlessness. It forces us to confront the possibility that there are things about ourselves that cannot simply be wished away. It asks us to acknowledge that some aspects of our lives were determined long before we became aware of them. And perhaps that realization is painful. Perhaps it feels unfair. Perhaps it feels as though the dice were cast long ago, and now you are merely living with the consequences. I understand that feeling. I know how cruel it can sound. I know how deeply frustrating it is to feel as though there is very little you can do to change certain realities about yourself. I know what it is like to wish things had been different. But life becomes even more difficult when we refuse to accept it. The world has a curious way of accepting things for what they are. It accepts a lion for being a lion. It accepts a zebra for being a zebra. It accepts a snake for being a snake. Yet the moment something attempts to become what it is not, friction appears. The more you try to escape who you are, the more likely you are to become lost. You risk becoming confused about your place in the world. You risk feeling unfulfilled.
You risk wasting your potential pursuing a life that was never meant for you. You risk becoming isolated, resentful, and deeply unhappy. Not because there is something wrong with you, but because you are trying to live someone else's life.
If you are the person who naturally thinks ahead, studies diligently, and focuses on the future, then be that person. If you are the one who easily connects with others and thrives in social settings, then be that person. If you are dependable, responsible, and the person others rely upon, then embrace that responsibility. If you are gentle, peaceful, and dislike confrontation, then there is no shame in being gentle. If you are quiet, reflective, and prefer solitude to crowds, then there is no shame in being quiet.
Again, I am sorry to say it, but people will treat you differently when they sense that you are pretending. They will see the contradiction, even if they cannot explain it. They will recognize that something is out of place. And deep down, so will you. This becomes especially painful when you feel overlooked, unappreciated, taken for granted, or misunderstood. You look around and begin asking difficult questions. Why does he get to do that while I cannot? Why does she succeed so effortlessly while I struggle? Why do others seem accepted for qualities that only bring criticism when I display them? Why does it seem as though life fits them while I feel trapped inside mine? And from those questions comes a temptation.
The temptation to imitate, to copy, to become someone else, to borrow another person's identity and hope that it fits better than your own. But no matter how convincing the disguise may be, it never truly works. The world eventually notices. More importantly, you notice. You feel the strain of carrying a life that does not belong to you. After all, a snake can shed its skin, but it remains a snake. It may change its appearance, but it does not change its nature. And perhaps that is the lesson.
Your nature is not a mistake simply because it differs from someone else's. You must learn to accept your nature. You must learn to accept your responsibilities, your strengths, your weaknesses, and the circumstances that accompany them. You must learn to accept who you are. Perhaps, in time, you may even learn to love it.
This does not mean every part of your life will be easy. It does not mean you will never envy others. It does not mean you will never wish you had been born differently. There will always be moments when another person's path appears easier than your own. There will always be moments when you wonder why your burdens seem heavier. There will always be moments when you wish you could exchange your life for someone else's.
But peace does not come from becoming them. Peace comes from accepting yourself. Accept that your path is your path. Accept that your challenges are your challenges. Accept that some limitations may always remain. Accept that others may possess advantages you never will. Accept that some responsibilities belong uniquely to you. And accept that life may ask different things from different people.
Like the zebra that must run for its survival, there may be burdens that belong uniquely to you. Yet there is dignity in carrying them. There is freedom in accepting them. And there is peace in no longer fighting against your own nature. Perhaps that is the only way to find joy in this life. Not by becoming someone else, but by finally accepting who you have been all along. Yours sincerely, a friend.